All right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, we want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rekakwadash. Giving double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to the hopefully elect. Shalom to all the brothers out here laboring in this truth with sincerity. Shalom to the few sisters that watch. Coming back with another lesson, because, hey, as we speak, Jacob's trouble is here. As we seeing ICE agents, hitting various cities. Really the cities that they're going to are highly concentrated with Jake Israelites, man. You got Chicago, you got Memphis. Where else they going? Chicago, Memphis. Soon to be every major city. I think they're in North Carolina, and this will be a normal thing, man. Really it's martial law. Martial law is coming. They used the immigration situation to bring forth this, and it's only gonna escalate, you know. All it takes is for one incident to happen, and they just gonna blow the lid off, man. But, so far Jake has, maintained a sense of normalcy, through this, But, hey, we're here, man. So I got a couple videos and then I'm gonna go to YouTube to watch a video about Chicago. But we'll watch these three videos and then we'll get some scriptures. So let's see.
No! No! I'm not kidding, not! No! No, Mom! No! No! Okay. No, no, no! No! No, por favor, no!
As you see, these people are not showing mercy.
I don't have any choice.
No quiero.
I don't have any choice.
No, mami.
Hey,
No,
will you,
aquí estoy
hey,
contigo.
will you
Aquí
stand
estoy
up and come with
contigo.
us?
No, no quiero.
She
No
has to come
vale,
with
no
us.
vale. Please. No vale. Please.
I understand, sir, but you have to come with us.
Please, no.
You have to come with us.
ICE is detaining black people in Chicago. Do you understand? We told y'all it was going to start with Hispanic people and immigrants, and they were already going after Haitians, already going after my people. So I've been saying this, but they're now detaining, ICE is now detaining black people in Chicago. They just raided a whole apartment complex. Ain't that crazy? They raided a whole apartment complex. And it didn't matter what you were doing in your apartment. You had people roll up in your house, detain you. And if you had a warrant out, they kept you. That's what are you doing in my house in the first place? They're detaining black people in Chicago. So, okay. All right. So what now? When does when do we stop working and start working? Because I don't understand, what do we do now?
And, to answer that question, hey, it ain't nothing you can do, but pray to Yahweh Shem Shai that he see you through. But the thing about it, most of these people are unbelievers, hey, for years, the apostles and elders have been bringing this word out. So we'll go to the book of Jeremiah chapter 30 and verse 7. It says, alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. The elect will be saved out of it. The elect will be saved out of this great warfare that's going to be waged against you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. And we're seeing the start of it. This is just the beginning. If you think this is going to get better, you out of your mind, man. The Lord has put the spirit upon Trump, to bring forth this, this wave of you know, brutality, so to speak, you know, because these people getting brutalized, man. You know, people are getting brutalized. People are being ashamed. You know, they pulling out people out of their apartments naked, you know, handcuffing kids. You know, we're here, man. We are here. So let's go to the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 16. And we'll drop down to verse 17. It says, this is Esdras speaking. It says, woe is me, who would deliver me in those days? You know, the days to come are going to be awful, man. The days to come are going to be so bad. You know, we're going to start seeing deaths, you know, right in front of us, you know, as we're seeing these people apprehending people, you know, abducting people without saying a word. You know, they're just pulling up, snatching people up, man. You know, and these things are you know, being, hey, man, you know, they're being, Salakia. They're increasing, you know, if we could say that, you know, state by state. You know, Trump said we're gonna send troops to Portland. You know, hey, soon to be in Atlanta, man. Soon to be in Atlanta. So all the YNs and the baddies, you know, all that stuff is not necessary, man. It's over with. You know, you see the so-called influencers, man, talking about stuff that don't even matter, man. You know, doing reviews on foods and clothes and, you know, stuff like that, man. Shoes. It's about to be a time where that stuff don't even matter, man. People are not gonna think about that stuff. People are not even really gonna think about splurging or buying stuff that don't even matter, man. These are the times that we're in. So, you know, if you got that one hustle, you know, if you women hustling your body online, it's over with, man. You know, for your so-called influencers, that's over with, man. This internet situation about to be over with, man. People's priorities about to flip. You know, they're about to switch, man. Verse 18, it says, the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the powers shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? So this is how bad it's going to be. You know, and this is going to be evils that we have never seen before, you know, in this present day and time. You know, yeah, it's about to get ugly out here, man. So all the things that really don't matter, if you're not seeking Yahweh Shem Shai, what are you gonna do, man? You know, you're not equipped to survive. You know, even if you're physically equipped, you're not mentally equipped. And if you're physically and mentally equipped, you're not spiritually equipped, man. You know, so you got to be spiritual first, because we're about to come into some times that may seem unreal to people. So verse 19, it says, behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent for scourges, for amendment. So all the sins that people have been doing, they think they got away with it, man. The Lord is sending plagues, tribulation, famine, all types of things for you to pay for these sins that you've committed. You know, it's all of the Lord, man. You know, that's why you should put Yahweh Shem Yahushua first, man. It's time to repent and convert. Seriously, you know, and sincerely, or else. It says, but for all these things, they shall not turn away from their wickedness. They're not going to repent. You know, they're going to keep doing whatever. They're going to keep sinning, you know, as the times get worse. You know, people are going to continue to sin more and more and more just to get by, you know, by any means necessary. It says, nor be always mindful of the scourges. So they're not even going to pay attention, man. They're going to see bodies dropping. They're going to see people starving. But at the same time, They're going to be in survival mode. So they're going to do whatever it takes to live. But in reality, they're dying. You know, we know the wages of sin is death, man. It says, behold, victuals shall be good cheap upon the earth. They shall think themselves to be in good case. And even then shall evils grow upon the earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. For many of them shall dwell upon the earth. For many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine. You know, we see this devil, you know, playing with the food now. You know, most of the food we eat pretty much is fake anyway. You know, either it's fake or it's tainted. It says, for many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. Verse 23, it says, and the dead shall be cast out as dung, and there shall be no man to comfort them, for the earth shall be wasted, and the cities shall be cast down. You know, so this was coming all around the world, you know, and once it hit here, like it has now, in Babylon the Great, you know, the rest of the world is looking at this, man. You know, this is the beginning of the fall, man. Oh, my, man, hey. Call law Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shah. This is the beginning of the fall. You know, Lord willing, Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shah, you know, keep that hedge of protection around brothers, man. You know, soon we won't be able to be out there on the streets, man. You know, once these troops or ICE hits the city, things are going to change, man. You know, when it comes to this truth, you know, Lord willing, Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shah, let us continue to go out. But, you know, hey, man, it's about to be some dangerous times. Who's to say they won't just try to scoop brothers up, man? You know, but, you know, we're not worried about that right now. You know, we're going to continue to push this word and see how about Shem Yahweh Shah say enough. So let's continue to this YouTube video, and it's going into that apartment complex raid.
I spoke to one woman who actually lives in this building, and she says she was detained by ICE agents overnight, and she says they took everyone and then asked questions later.
They just treated us like we were nothing.
Pratishu Fisher says she came out to the hallway of her apartment complex on the corner of 75th and South Shore Drive in her nightgown around 10 Monday night, only to find ICE agents yelling police.
It was scary because I've never had a gun put in my face. They asked my name and my date of birth and asked me did I have any warrants, and I told them no, I didn't.
She says she was then handcuffed and released around 3 a.m. Fisher says she was told if anyone had any kind of warrant out for them, even if it was unrelated to immigration, they would not be released. Citizen video shows the chaotic scene overnight. Neighbors tell us there were dozens of ICE agents. Neighbors like Ebony Watson says they ducked for cover as they heard several flashbangs go off.
They was terrified. The kids was crying. People was screaming. They looked very distraught. I was out there crying when I seen the little girl come around the corner. Because they was bringing the kids out too. Had them zip tied to each other. That's all I kept asking. Where's the morality? Where's the human? One of them literally laughed. He was standing right here. He said, them kids.
Watson says budget trucks and military-style vans were used to separate parents from their children. Other neighbors say they saw agents destroying property to get in the building.
And they had a big 15-inch chainsaw with a round blade on it cutting this fence down. We're under siege. We're being invaded by our own military.
The FBI did confirm this morning that they did help the U.S. Border Patrol carry out a targeted immigration enforcement operation in this area, and they say they have been supporting these efforts at the direction of the U.S. Attorney General.
And these are serious times, man. You know, these are unprecedented times that we're witnessing. You know, so you know if you don't have Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shah on your side, man, you're not gonna make it. You know, you're not gonna make it. And you know this devil is coming down with great wrath. Basically, you know, out of the hatred of Jacob, you know, he's waging war against the tribes, man. You know, and it all goes back to the birthright, and we know this. So this is a book of Ezekiel chapter 35, and let's go to verse 4. You know, the Lord is gonna pay these people back, man. ultimately. But we got to go through it. We got to go through it now. But ultimately, the Lord is going to pay these people back. This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 35, verse 4. It says, I will lay thy cities waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am the Lord Yahweh. And this is speaking to these Edomites, man. These Edomites, these wicked elites, the ones that's bringing forth this war, this war against the tribes. Verse 5, it says, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred. And when you go into that word perpetual, it means forever, eternal. A perpetual hatred that has shed the blood of the children of Israel by force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. So this man is relentless with it. And it all goes back, to the book of Genesis, about the birthright, man, and the blessing. Let's go to the book of Genesis, chapter 27, and we will go to verse 41. It says, and Esau hated Jacob. And then, the 12 tribes. It says, and Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. This is speaking of his brother at this point in time. But now it goes into his lineage, his seed, which are the 12 tribes of Israel. It says, and Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob. So this is what's going on. This devil has perpetual hatred for the children of Israel, man. So that's what we're witnessing right now. That's why this devil coming down with great wrath, like mad men sparing none. That it's going to continue to get worse, so, hey, Lord willing, the Lord continue to watch over brothers, keep brothers safe out here, man. Verse 6, it says, therefore, as I live, said the Lord Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Sit thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. That's all this devil's out for, man. Blood. You ripping up the same thing he did during slavery, ripping families apart, shipping off kids, shipping off women, shipping off men, husband, wives, sisters, brothers, splitting up families, man. It's the same thing, same devil. So we're witnessing now. But ultimately the Lord is going to pay these people back. And as it's looking right now, man, we almost out of here, man. So, we just got to endure this for a little while, and stay in the good graces of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, Lord willing, man. So with that being said, we want to constantly give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Rekakwadash. Shalom.